Live yet. Whoops! I didn't mean to go live yet. I wasn't ready. I pressed the button too early. Oh well. Give me 1 second to press the button over here, and then we'll get started. Woohoo! I've missed you guys. Not that I have more than like 3 viewers, but I missed you guys. We're live. Anyways, today's episode is brought to you by that disheveled hair look that one of my favorite actresses wears a lot. Forget her name right now, it escapes me. Such a disrespect to forget her name, but she was married to Johnny Depp. First wife of Johnny Depp. Anyways, she was awesome. I always want to be just like her. So now I get to be just like her because I'm rocking the bedtime look. Anyways, anybody who's new to my page, I've made like 20 new friends in the last week. So I just want you to know that even if you're like not Christian, even if you're like atheist or Muslim or Jewish, you're more than welcome to sit through this reading if you want to, if it makes you happy. What we're reading is a New Testament survey book. It's a college level, freshman level textbook of the historical background and setting of the New Testament. It's not a Bible study. I'm not trying to convert anybody, so you're more than welcome to join if you're atheist or agnostic or Muslim. Please join. And if you live in any of these areas that we are covering, feel free to add to the conversation. We're talking about Judea, Idumea, Philistia, Samaria, Galilee, Phoenicia. If you live in that part of the world, feel free to comment. I would love your perspective. You can teach me probably a lot more than I can teach you. And all I do is read through it. Lately, I have been researching a little bit before jumping in because I don't know how I researched. Because if I just cold read it and I just start the bottom of page 49, and then we're going to read page 15, 51, and these pictures that are in the book, I will actually photograph later and add into the comments on Facebook. So let's start. Be lit for today, starting on the bottom of page 49, the rule of Herod's descendants. That's the rule of Herod's descendants, 4 BC to AD 66. So immediately after the death of Herod, riots broke out in Jerusalem that had to be put down by force. Okay. So Jerusalem riots put down by force. These riots continued while 3 of Herod's sons, Archelaus, Philip, and Antipas, made their way to Rome to present their case before Caesar Augustus. So apparently what I'm getting from this text is that they're the reason for the riots. Herod died, and Herod's got these 3 sons who are now fighting for his territory. So the riots continue as they make their way to Rome to present their case before Caesar Augustus. That's what I'm getting from the text. Let's read on. Each wanted to be the sole ruler. After much scheming and intrigue, Augustus divided the land 3 ways. He gave Archelaus Idumea, Judea, and Samaria. And he gave him the title of ethnarch. Remember, we read the other day that ethnarch means a local governor or prince, okay? Rather than the title king, okay? And you can look in the historian Josephus's book Antiquities 17.13.5 for that reference. That's in Josephus Antiquities 17.13.5. He is a extra biblical, or not, I don't know if I should call him extra biblical. He was basically just a historian. He wasn't a Christian. He was a Jewish guy. He was a historian back in those days. And he was actually a Jewish guy writing history for Rome. As far as I understand, he was employed by Caesar or whatever. So anyways, moving on. Antipas, that was my comment. Now back to the book. Philip received Batanea, Trachonitis, and Auranitis, as well as other territories to the northeast, and was also titled Tetrarch, just like his brother. Philip was titled Tetrarch, just like his brother Antipas. Okay, so the riots that were occurring all over the country were brutally put down. Okay, brutally. Sepphoris in Galilee was destroyed. The temple in Jerusalem was burned and looted, and thousands were crucified by the Romans. So the riots were brutally put down. Thousands were crucified by the Romans. Now we're going to actually study a little bit. Again, this picture, I'll put it in the comments on the Facebook Live. Now we're going to read a little bit about Archelaus, and then a little bit about Philip, and then a little bit about Antipas, and then we'll be done for the day. Okay, so let's move on deeper into page 50 here. Archelaus, parentheses, 4 BC to AD 6. Okay, that was his life, right? No, or his rule. 4 BC to AD 6. The rule of Archelaus was brutal and tyrannical. This is a quote from Antiquities 17.13.2. The rule of Archelaus was brutal and tyrannical and was strongly resisted from the very beginning. His evil reputation forced Joseph and Mary to take Jesus back to Nazareth rather than return to Bethlehem, which was in Archelaus' territory. Reference is Matthew 2, verse 22 and 23. He constantly interfered with priestly matters. He caused great offense by his illegal marriage to a brother's widow and harshly treated his subjects. When the Jews could stand it no longer, they sent a delegation to Rome, bitterly complaining of Archelaus' misrule. He was summoned to Rome in AD 6 and he died. Archelaus' territory was placed under direct Roman rule that lasted from AD 6 to AD 41, when the nation was unified under Agrippa I. There were 6 or 7 Roman governors, mostly called procurators during this time, but only the 5th one is of importance for New Testament studies. Guess what his name is? Pontius Pilate, who was in control from AD 26 to AD 36. As procurator, he would have resided in Caesarea, yet he visited Jerusalem for festivals and notable events. He was a harsh and insensitive ruler with little consideration for his subjects. His excessive and brutal behavior caught up with him in the end. He was deposed and then exiled by Tiberius Caesar in AD 36. Now we're going to read about Philip, the second son, 4 BC to AD 34. I think that's just his rule, not his life. We know little about the reign of Philip except that he was universally praised. He limited personal ambition. I love that sentence, so I'm just going to say it again. He limited personal ambition. That means he was humble and kept extravagant building to a minimum. He rebuilt the ancient city of Peneus, north of the Sea of Galilee, renaming it Caesarea Philippi in honor of Caesar and himself. It was here that Peter made his great confession. Peter, not Philip. It was here that Peter made his great confession of Jesus' messiahship. Here too, Jesus explains how he must go to Jerusalem to die and rise again. I'm going to read that again because that's really important. Here too, Jesus explains how he must go to die to Jerusalem to die and rise again. That can be found, if you want to look it up, Matthew 16. Bethsaida on the northeast coast of the Sea of was also rebuilt and named Julius in honor of Augustus Caesar's daughter. Okay, I don't know if it's pronounced Julius like Julius Caesar because that would have a U in it, right? But this is with an A, Julia with an S. It's Julia with an S. So that apparently is Augustus Caesar's daughter. And so Bethsaida on the northeast coast of the Sea of Galilee was also rebuilt and renamed Julia with an S, Julius, in honor of Augustus Caesar's daughter. Philip died a natural death. And then in parentheses, this is hilarious, unusual for Herod's family. I love that. Philip died a natural death. Unusual for Herod's family because they all, died, were murdered in AD 34 after ruling for 37 years. So yeah, that was his rule. Anyways, Josephus describes his reign in this fashion. So this is what the historian Josephus says about Philip, who apparently was humbler than his brothers. Josephus's words are, he had shown himself a person of moderation and quietness in the conduct of his life in government. He constantly lived in that country which was subject to him. So he didn't live somewhere else. He lived where he ruled. He used to make progress with a few chosen friends. His tribunal also, in which he sat in judgment, followed him in his progress. And when anyone met with him who wanted his assistance, he made no delay, but had his tribunal set down immediately, wheresoever he happened to be, and sat down upon it, and heard his complaints. He there ordered the guilty that were convicted to be punished, and absolved those who had been accused unjustly. And you can look that up in the historian Josephus's book, Antiquities 18.4.6. Now we're going to read about the last son of Herod who died. And this is the third son fighting over the territory, Antipas. Okay, so Antipas, his rule was from 4 BC, and hence, it's so hot right here, I can't deal with Galilee and Perea, of 2 areas where Jesus ministered extensively. So this is a very important Herod to wrap your brains around here. Herod Antipas received the territories of Galilee and Perea, which affected Jesus. That's where he ministered a lot. He was a vain, arrogant ruler who was also weak in times of moral crisis. He was married to the daughter of Aretas. I think I said it right. Aretas, the Nabatean king. But fell in love with Herodias, his niece, who was at the time the wife of his brother Philip. I don't know if I should read that sentence again. It's so messed up, but I'm gonna. Okay, so this guy Antipas was married to the daughter of Aretas, the Nabatean king. But he fell in love while he was married. He fell in love with Herodias, who was at the time already married to his brother Philip. He set plans in motion to marry her. Aretas, remember the dad, the Nabatean king of who he gave his daughter to Antipas previously. Aretas was enraged and went to war with Antipas, decisively defeating him. It was Herodias who engineered the death of John the Baptist. Okay, so now this new wife of his, Herodias, his niece, it was Herodias who engineered the death of John the Baptist. Okay, because he denounced the marriage as illegal. Let that sink in. John the Baptist was like, no, Herod is like one of us. He shouldn't be doing stuff like this. I'm going to go tell him it's wrong. I'm going to, like Isaiah, right? Isaiah went to David and said, David, what you did with Bathsheba is wrong, right? And so, like, this is what John the Baptist is doing. Is it Isaiah? It was Elisha, wasn't it? Oh my goodness. Ignore that. I don't know which one it was now. So anyways, but John the Baptist in that same spirit is saying you shouldn't have married your niece who was already married to your brother. This is all wrong. So his niece, Herodias, had him beheaded. So that you can read about in Mark 6. Yada, yada, yada. Moving on. John had been imprisoned at Machaerus in Perea because he had made this family mad, made Herod's family and Herodias mad. So anyways, he was in prison in Machaerus in Perea, east of the Dead Sea. And you can read more about that in the Josephus's book, Antiquities 18.5.2. The Jews attributed Herod's defeat in battle to the judgment of God for allowing John, whom they considered a prophet, to be executed. Let me say that again. The Jews attributed Herod's defeat in battle to the judgment of God for allowing John, whom they considered a prophet, to be executed. So the Jews really liked John. They actually did consider him to be a prophet. They liked John the Baptist, and they considered Herod's defeat to be what he had coming to him. So last 2 paragraphs, it was this Herod to whom Jesus was sent. This is the Herod that Pontius Pilate sent Jesus to. Okay? Right before he was crucified. So Herod really wanted was to see Jesus perform a miracle. He had heard about this prophet that was doing all these miracles, and he was like, hey, Pontius Pilate just sent you to me. Do some miracles. Let me see some miracles. I want to see some miracles. You know who I am? I'm Herod. I can have you killed. Come on, do some miracles. So that was Herod's spiritual sensitivity. All he really cared about was seeing some spectacular miracles. So anyways, back to the book. That was my own commentary I added. Herod seems to have had some spiritual sensitivity if you read Matthew 14 or Mark 6, but he was more interested in spectacular displays than in spiritual substance. The breach or the beef between Herod and Pilate, perhaps caused by Pilate's murder of Galilean citizens, read Luke 13:1 for more about that, was oddly healed by their joint condemnation of Jesus. So that's a perfect example of enemy of my enemy is my friend, I guess. Herod and Pilate squashed their beef because they both condemned Jesus together. So they were like, hey, I guess we're buddies now. And I think I'll read that to you. I did bookmark it earlier when I was doing a little bit of research. So Luke 23, here it is. And Herod and Pilate became friends. That easy. That's what it says. And Herod and Pilate became friends with each other that very day. For before this, they had been at enmity with each other. That's Luke 23:12. So this is the very last paragraph, if you're with me still. Thank you. We went over time today because I wanted to read Cicada. I wanted to read 2 pages because it's been a whole week since I've done this, and I was like, let's read 2 pages, not 1 today. So thanks for watching if you're watching. Herodias proves that's the niece of Herod Antipas, whom he married basically illegally. He stole her from his brother Philip, because his niece Herodias was married to Philip, and so blah. Anyways, Herodias proved to be Herod's undoing when she cajoled her husband into going to Rome and demanding of Caligula the emperor that he be made king rather than just ethnarch. Okay? For this, he was banished to Spain, where he and Herodias died. Check out Josephus' book War 2.9.6. See also Antiquities 18.7.2. That is the end of learning about Antipas, Philip, and Archelaus. But give me just 1 second yeah. He gave Archelaus, Idumea, Judea, and Samaria. Tetrarch. Somewhere along the way, it doesn't say in the book, Antipas became ethnarch instead of tetrarch. Because he was given, on page 50, he was given the title tetrarch, not ethnarch. But Herodias wanted him to not be called ethnarch, so somewhere along the way between page 50 and 51, he became ethnarch, not tetrarch. That is the end of Be Lit. Thank you for joining me, even if you just plugged in for a minute or 2. I hope that it was good and that, I don't know. Just comment in the comments if you find it interesting. If you hate it, then don't comment. I don't want to know. All right, bye.